Johnny Somali's trial has entered its final phase, the one that will decide whether he walks away with a slap on the wrist or spends the next decade rotting in a foreign prison. Prosecutors have charged him with multiple crimes, but the two deepfake charges are the heaviest, the most damaging, the ones that could completely destroy him. Each of those charges carries up to 7 years in prison, and, combined, they could land him with a sentence of 12 long years. But behind the scenes, Johnny and his legal team are fighting tooth and nail to make those charges disappear. They're not trying to prove innocence anymore. They're trying to rewrite the narrative.
This charge gets dropped, and if he has one deepfake charge against him, he's still looking at 7 years. If he drops the second deepfake charge, how many years is potentially left then?
So he's still at the point where max penalty is 12 years. If the deepfake, which is the most serious one, if both of them are dropped, that brings the max down to 5. So that's a dramatic change. And it also brings the mandatory prison time out of the...
Okay, so he no longer has mandatory prison time if it gets dropped down to 5?
Yes, that doesn't mean he won't, but it won't be nearly as much.
Johnny's main trial has not been settled, or his main thing. This is a side court case that he got dragged into, or he dragged another streamer into, with the goal of eliminating one of his charges that he's currently, facing.
And he was successful.
And he was successful with that. So he's still facing, as of right now, 12 years.
According to court insiders, they've built a defense strategy designed not to win sympathy, but to create confusion, to blur the line between guilt and error, between a deliberate act and a mistake. Johnny's lawyers argue that the evidence was inconclusive, that the videos weren't fully authenticated, that his intent was misunderstood. They're leaning on technicalities, claiming the deepfake files could have been tampered with by others, even though investigators trace them directly back to Johnny's devices. It's a legal chess game where every move counts, and Johnny knows that if those two charges fall, everything changes. And make no mistake, the man who once streamed his arrogance to the world is now quietly trembling behind the scenes. He knows what's at stake. 12 years in a Korean prison isn't just time. It's a sentence of isolation, humiliation, and destruction. The same internet that once worshipped his chaos has now turned against him. The same fans who once laughed at his trolling are now watching in silence, waiting for the verdict that could end his story for good. But somehow, even now, Johnny Somali refuses to back down. He still walks into court with the same cold smirk, the same empty confidence, as if pretending that nothing can touch him will somehow make it true. And yet, the cracks are showing. The weight of the accusations, the endless investigations, the sleepless nights, they're all catching up. The prosecution has made it clear, if even one of the deep fake charges holds, Johnny is guaranteed prison time. But if both are dropped, his maximum sentence drops to 5 years. 5 years, and suddenly the mandatory prison requirement vanishes. That means a suspended sentence is possible. House arrest, probation, a legal loophole that could allow him to walk free, despite everything he's done. And that's what terrifies people. Because if Johnny Somali escapes prison time, it won't just be a legal win, it'll be a cultural disaster. It'll send a message that manipulation, exploitation, and deceit can still win in the age of social media. That chaos pays. That streaming infamy is stronger than justice. And yet, this is what makes the story so dangerous. Because Johnny isn't the kind of person who learns from consequence. He's the kind of person who feeds on it. If he walks free, he'll spin it as redemption. He'll go live, laugh into the camera, and say, "I told you I'd beat the system." He'll turn his trial into a victory lap, his crimes into content. But let's not forget, there are victims in this story. Real people who were humiliated, violated, and dehumanized for the sake of views. Their stories have been buried under Johnny's theatrics, but they're still out there, watching, waiting, hoping for justice that may never come. The clock is ticking for Johnny Somali, and every second feels heavier than the last. The man who once thrived on attention now finds himself drowning in it, but not the kind he ever wanted. Every news outlet, every courtroom whisper, every social media update is painting a picture of a man who has run out of luck, out of lies, and maybe out of time. Johnny has always been a symbol of arrogance, a man who looked straight into the camera and laughed at consequence. He thought that no matter what he did, no matter how dark or disrespectful it got, there would always be a way out. But this time, the stakes are real. No stream, no apology video, no fake tears can rewrite this. The law doesn't care about viral moments. The courtroom isn't a stage, and the audience watching him now isn't cheering, it's waiting. Waiting to see whether justice finally means something in the world of influencers. Behind the scenes, his legal team is scrambling, doing everything they can to paint Johnny as misunderstood, not malicious. They're clinging to the possibility that both deepfake charges might still get dropped, because if that happens, his entire future changes overnight. From 12 years locked behind bars down to just 5. And even more insane, those 5 years might not even require him to step foot in a cell. It's a thin line between ruin and redemption, and Johnny Somali is balancing on it like a man who doesn't realize how close he is to falling. But here's where it gets twisted. If Johnny escapes with just a few years, or even a suspended sentence, it won't feel like justice. It'll feel like the system rewarding manipulation. Think about it. This is a man who has lied under oath, tampered with evidence, and built his entire brand off cruelty and controversy. If he walks free, it won't be because he's innocent. It'll be because he's clever enough to exploit the chaos he created. It'll send a chilling message to every toxic creator out there. You can break people, mock your victims, and still find a way out. That's why this final verdict is bigger than just one man. It's about accountability in an era where fame has become a shield, where clout buys influence and influence twists reality. Johnny Somali's case isn't just a courtroom story. It's a mirror held up to the entire online world, showing us what happens when fame goes unchecked and ego becomes law. But let's not forget the human cost. Behind every headline, behind every clip, are real victims whose lives were scarred by his actions. People whose faces and names were dragged into a nightmare they never asked for. Their pain turned into a punchline. They've been waiting for justice, for closure, for a sign that their suffering meant something. And now, with Johnny's fate hanging in the balance, they're praying that this time, finally, he doesn't get away with it. And yet, even now, Johnny plays his role. He walks into court like it's another performance, dressed neatly, pretending to be calm while the world dissects his every move. But that fake confidence can't hide the fear. He knows this might be the end of his story, or the start of something even worse. Because if he walks free, the internet won't forget. The world will never let him live in peace. His name will forever be a warning, his legacy permanently stained. Still, for a man like Johnny Somali, that might not matter. Because deep down, he's not chasing redemption, he's chasing relevance. And even if he's hated, even if he's exposed, even if he's branded a criminal, he'll convince himself that as long as people are talking, he's winning. That's the kind of sickness fame creates. A delusion where attention is more valuable than truth. But when the gavel finally falls, when the judge speaks that final sentence, the cameras will stop rolling and the noise will fade. Johnny will be alone. No viewers, no super chats, no comments to fuel him. Just silence. That's when the real punishment begins. Because for the first time in his life, he'll have to face something he's never faced before. Himself. This isn't just the end of a trial. This is the reckoning of a man who thought he could turn pain into profit, who believed he could outsmart justice. Whether he ends up behind bars or walking free, one truth will never change. He's lost everything that ever mattered. His reputation, his career, his humanity. So as the final trial approaches, the world watches with bated breath. Will this be the moment justice finally wins? Or will Johnny Somali once again slip through the cracks, laughing at a system too weak to stop him? One thing's for sure. No matter what the verdict is, his story will be remembered as one of the darkest, most shocking downfalls in internet history. And if you haven't already, subscribe, because this isn't over yet. The final chapter of Johnny Somali's story is about to unfold. And when it does, you'll want to be here to witness it. Whether he walks free or falls hard, it's going to be explosive, emotional, and unforgettable. Watch till the end, because this isn't just about one man's fate. It's about the moment the internet finally decides what justice really looks like.